Okay, here's one that is getting very close to the end of its time with me also. I am basically just transitioning in what pens I'm going to keep. I just do not want to be one of those people that has got literally hundreds of pens. It's just not going to be me. I've got a bunch of really decent quality pens, and I just want to keep the ones that suit me best. It's not to say that one's better than another. It's just I don't want to have too many pens that I never grab for. That's not the case for this. I definitely grab for this thing all the time. I've talked about before, daily carry. I have this thing that it sits inside of one of these carrying portfolios. Zipper goes up against it all the time. I have zero issues whatsoever with beating the daylights out of it. I bought it very inexpensively, completely with the intent of still having a quality Montblanc ink pen, that I wasn't worried about whether or not it was going to show wear very quickly into owning it. And to be honest with you, any of the Meisterstücks, they definitely show wear very quickly into ownership. And that's why they're something that gets carried around in a case and used only at pleasant times. But this thing, I take it everywhere with me. It gets used all the time. It's not something I would worry about even in my uniform sleeve. So it's an interesting name. I'll show the engravings to you in a second. But it's the Noblesse Oblige, and I'm sure somebody out there who French is their native tongue may say oblige or noblesse, but again, in the U.S., a noblesse oblige, that's pretty much what I say. You can see at the beginning of this how that's appropriately spelled, and I'll show you the engravings in a minute. And let's get the yellow Crocs rolling. Okay, here we go. Some of the things I'm going to talk about are going to be the thing that stands out the most. This is a very slim body. When I talk about a slim body, most people know a cross century. It is almost the same dimensions of a cross century. Very, very slim body. And it is going to be a fully metal body, so there's going to be no translucence of this whatsoever. It is definitely very nice construction. It's really quality brass construction on this, but you can shine down inside there. You'll see there's a pretty good amount of this is brass down inside of there, and then we'll cover that down, and you can see there is zero translucence whatsoever of this, because it's all brass body underneath the black coating that's on the top here. The craftsmanship is absolutely fantastic. We can zoom in a little bit and we'll show that stuff in a minute. But it is ultimately as smooth as it gets. Really, really high quality craftsmanship. It takes any standard Montblanc refill. So I've got a dozen different ones, all different colors, all different points. They go all the way up to a broad and all the way down to a fine. I think I saw extra fine at one point, but I haven't seen them recently. But either which way, it just slides in. I'll zoom out so you can see that. It has got spring retention inside of there, or I should say spring pushback, so that when the mechanism is functional, you'll be able to see that when you go to retract it, the spring's what pushes it back in. It's a very smooth, easy gliding product, which is very, very nice. Also, one of the things that I'm told is that the Montgrappa rollerball refills fit this. So if you want a ultra slim, extremely heavy duty pen that also is a rollerball and is going to be the high quality of Montblanc, if you're willing to use somebody else's ink, you can go ahead and do that. It's not my bag, but I'm not judging whoever else does that. You know, you got to get what you want, and that's really all that matters. No matter what anybody else says, who really cares about them? Do it for you. That's all that really matters. There is no question. The snowflake on this is bright white, really nice, shiny, like almost stands out better than the remainder of the pen. But the pen itself, let's go ahead and zoom in here. You'll be able to see some of these features. So you can see this definitely has what I would call road rash on it, but it still predominantly looks good when you're holding the pen. The resin seems to show those road rash at any distance significantly better, which I think it's because it captures the light and shines a little bit better. And since this has no translucence whatsoever, it does not capture the light and it doesn't reflect that road rash nearly as bad. We can take a look here. So here's the engravings. Montblanc. It's perfect. Noblesse Oblige. So I don't believe there is anything underneath the clip whatsoever because it's a split clip. I think it's the only one I've seen like that. I don't know if any of their other designs do that. But those are some of the predominant features. The tip is, of course, in perfect shape. If you've ever had one of these where they seem that they do not want to deploy, or for that matter, a lot of times they don't want to retract, it's because the tip here gets a little bit damaged, and when it gets a little bit damaged, a little squashed or cattywampus, what happens is when the pen comes out, it doesn't want to go back in because it's actually sandwiched. That's pretty much what happens there. So that's predominantly everything there is to talk about with this pen. There's really not much more to it. It is a great writer, but it's only going to be as good as the ink that you put inside of it. So if you want to grab junk ink, you know, some knockoff Montblanc replacement, you can get them dirt cheap and it'll write like garbage. My personal opinion is roller balls, they're an oil-based ink. It lasts virtually forever. I mean, I'm talking about a roller ball lasting 6 or 7 times longer than any, a ballpoint is going to last 6 or 7 times longer than any roller ball. The roller ball just flows so much faster. Even if it wasn't being used, Montblanc themselves said that once you start using, breaking the seal, if you will, a Montblanc ballpoint, it should have a 4-year shelf life. They said it's only 6 months on a roller ball. So that kind of puts things into perspective there as far as how long something like this is going to last. I've had it for a couple years and I genuinely have not exhausted more than 1 full cartridge. And it gets written daily. I've gone through multiple of these, government style notebooks, and yeah, I only remember exhausting 1 cartridge. That's it. So it's pretty much all there is to be said about that. Only other thing you could possibly want to know is how does it sit next to either a 149 size or maybe a classique size. So there's a classic, there's that, and there's the 146 Legrand size. That's pretty much everything I've got to say about that. If you've got any questions, let me know. Otherwise, we can talk about green Crocs all day.